The distance for local sports. This is X Sports Today.
Top quality equipment rentals at the right price. It's not too good to be true at Rent Right Equipment and Sales. We guarantee clean, reliable products that are up to your standards. Our family-owned business has been doing that for more than 40 years. Let our friendly and knowledgeable staff take care of you from purchase to maintenance. Saws, drills, lifts, mowers, generators, you name it, we've got it. Stop by and see our inventory today, located on Buffalo Road in Lawrenceburg.
Efficiency, reliability, accuracy. Move forward with your real estate sale or purchase with Title and Escrow of Lawrence County, the most experienced closing team around. Working with clients locally and throughout the state, we offer a wide range of services, including the expertise of an on-staff attorney, backed by our more than 49 years experience in titles and closings. We get the job done on time at a fair price and ensure every last detail is correct. Our goal is to give you peace of mind. When you work with us, you work with people who live where you do. We understand the importance of the real estate community and strive to build strong relationships with all parties involved in the process. Whether you're buying a home, selling a business, acquiring land, or anything in between, you're in good hands with Title and Escrow of Lawrence County.
Put the most experienced closing team on your side. Contact Title and Escrow of Lawrence County today.
If you're looking for a company that can do it all when it comes to building, look no further than Tennessee Properties. From new home builds to remodels and commercial projects, our contractors work hard to give your space a new life from planning to finishing touches. Whether it's new interiors or dirt work, they see your big picture without forgetting the small details. In the market for a new home, they partnered with Freeman Development to bring new homes to the Oak Hill subdivision of Lawrenceburg. That's Tennessee Properties, licensed and insured. Call today or visit Tennessee.com.
Hey guys, I'm Kyle Hammock, General Manager here at Heritage Automotive, your Chevy GMC dealer in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. I'm from Marshall County, Tennessee, where I went to Cornersville High School. I attended Cumberland University. After Cumberland, I went into the United States Marine Corps to serve the country. After that, I went right back into the car business. I'm very familiar with the car business. I have been around the car business pretty much my entire life. And my commitment to you is to ensure the most competitive new and used vehicle pricing on the market, as well as the best service around. Well, we'll treat you like family here at Heritage Automotive in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
Going the distance for local sports. This is X Sports Today.
Look at X Sports Today, our final show here of the week. It's been a busy week, guys, with the NBA draft and a lot of different things going down. This guy's watching the weather closely because I have to drive through a monsoon coming over from Florence. Had a lot of busy stuff, a lot of pop-up showers, right?
A lot of pop-up showers, but they got a little rough out there.
Yeah.
And they're still rough.
Yeah, I was almost making my own Game of Storms episode on the way over here. But, it's always good when you see on the weather app, it says 50% chance of rain. But, if it's anything above that, it's going to rain. But this is one of those days it's like, It may or it may not.
Yeah, exactly. It just ends up where it all pops up. And the thing that was interesting about today was there's a boundary around Lawrenceburg where we are here.
Yeah.
Honestly, we didn't even know it was there, and all of a sudden you just
It
had
just started
storms
popping.
just
Yeah.
blew up like crazy, and one thing leads to another. Now it's just kind of moving out.
Some of the lightning on my way
Yep.
way to Florence, on my way back from Florence, I was like,
Ton of
wow.
lightning.
It was a lot of lightning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. Also, a lot going on in the sports world. Speaking of the NBA draft, you guys were talking a little bit about it when I got in here just a few minutes ago. But, boys, it doesn't look like Ace Bailey's really happy to be a member of the Utah Jazz.
Well, as of now, he still isn't, and I think he's going to try to keep it that way as long as possible. I mentioned on our show, may have been yesterday's, I think it was yesterday's, that I thought him and Walter Clayton Jr. was a really good 1-2 punch. Walter Clayton took the flight out to Utah, and Ace Bailey did not go with him, so definitely looking like a bit of peril taking place in Salt Lake City.
And that was the thing that I was interested to see what the case was, because I don't know the whole backstory with everything, but obviously there is some beef that he has with either the Utah organization or he just does not want to be out there. And, they obviously picked him for an apparent reason because they thought maybe he'd be good. Obviously, they traded for Walter Clayton Jr., and I do think that they would make a really good duo out there, but obviously Ace Bailey does not want to be out there with the Utah Jazz, and he's making it very apparent.
Well, he doesn't want to have to be a duo. He wants to be the number one guy.
Yeah.
Washington, he could have been that number one guy, and that's where his camp wanted him to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unreal. Like, I think Ace Bailey is probably one of the best players, a top 3 player within the draft, but due to canceling all those interviews and camps with other teams in Utah picking him up, in his interview, I've told y'all I've got a bad vibe about the kid. Like I said, I hope he has a good career, really good player, but just he's not starting off his NBA career good right now, especially holding out. So it sounds like we might have a holdout for a rookie, and I don't know if that's ever happened before, but I think Utah's going to win this for sure. Because if you don't want to play, then you don't have to play.
It's more common in the NFL. I think holdouts in general are way more common in the NFL than what they are other sports. But, the way he was Shador Sandersing this whole deal does not look good. And again, it's just one of those like, hey, there's a lot of good examples throughout history. The one that always comes to mind is Isaiah Thomas. He didn't want to go to Detroit. Well, he spent his whole career in Detroit, won a couple of NBA finals, known as one of the best guards in NBA history, and he ended up going to a place he didn't want to be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I would say you see the duality of guys in the NBA draft. You see the picture of Ace Bailey with his Jazz cap on, no emotion whatsoever. Almost as far to say I'm grateful, and then you see Malawatch from Duke get drafted by the Rockets and then traded to the Suns, and he was up there in tears.
Yeah.
Just because this is his whole life, his whole thing, and he's going to try to make the most of it. And we see other people being a little ungrateful to be in a position like him.
I think as well, obviously, I don't know if y'all watched it, but you know how they interview the players after they get drafted. Out of all the lottery picks that got an interview, who was the one player that didn't have anybody else with him while he was interviewing? Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey was the only person that didn't have anybody else with him. Not his brother, not his mom, not his dad, nobody. It was just him up there. And so that automatically, the movie Draft Day, the number one pick from Wisconsin, they were looking. He kind of gives me that vibe right now. So.
Yeah. Well, the thing he better watch out for is, you make a good point with he's almost Shador Sandering stuff, is you are new here. You do not need to make your name known as someone who is ungrateful.
And
it's all about me, hard to work
that.
with, doesn't care about anything else. And I'm just kind of throwing adjectives out there, but he gets that vibe now where it's all about him. It's what he wants to do. I don't care what you want or anything like that. You do not need that in your position right now, because even though he probably has a destination he wants to go, Washington obviously was the one that he was probably hoping for. Yeah. If he wants a chance with that, he better straighten up, because Washington might look back and be like, no, we don't want any part of it.
We're glad we didn't take him.
Yeah.
And if he does hold out and doesn't play, which again, that would be unprecedented in the NBA. We've seen it in baseball. We've seen it in the NFL. I think he's a top 5 pick. That cost him money.
Yeah.
I don't know how the NBA works, but I know how other leagues work. If you go into next year's draft. I think Kamal Rocker
Yes.
was one of the
Yes.
last. He lost money because of it, because he didn't end up signing with the team that drafted him, and that loses you a year off of your career.
Because he had to go play independent ball for a year.
Especially when you're young, that takes a year off your career, especially playing at the high level, and it costs you money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So he's really got to think this through, and it makes you wonder where. And this is again, it's in every sport. Where's this guy getting his advice from? Who is in his ear that has convinced him that he is Jordan?
Yeah.
And he deserves Jordan money right off the gate.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why he wants to go somewhere and be the only star there.
I
There's
don't
no
get that.
team in the NBA that has one superstar that's competing for the finals every year.
Yeah.
You have
Not only that,
two
but a
superstars.
rookie.
Two superstars and maybe 4 or 5 role players. Where right now with the Jazz, he's one of 2 guys. I don't know why you would want to be in that a situation where you're just the guy.
Yeah.
So it's just really confusing. This whole I want to pick my team. I don't want to play for this team. Stuff like that. It's just strange.
Yeah, and again, I'll just go back to you need to watch yourself if you're trying to be like this, because you end up burning a bridge with the Jazz. Well, guess what? All those teams are watching. You burn bridges inadvertently that you might want to have. Washington, or I'm just throwing a team out there. Let's just say you might have been interested with the Hawks or something. Well, Atlanta might be looking at this now and be like, well, we want you a part of this.
Well, and
You burn bridges
everybody's
inadvertently.
got friends. Maybe the secretary for the Jazz is calling his buddy that's player development with the Hawks. And it's like, don't take this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on
word
behind
travels
that.
fast.
It does, especially in today's age.
Supposedly, from what I read on Twitter in an article, he's supposed to be in Utah on Monday. When he's going to sign the contract, who knows? So once that pin's on the dotted line, we'll see what happens. But right now, it ain't trending good, especially how they have those draft parties and all that stuff. And sounds like he's not even going to be there for those draft parties.
I'll say this: if he does not end up signing with the Jazz, watch the domino effect, because that act right there could be the one that, I'm not saying it's going to ruin his NBA career potential, but it might damage it to where you might hear Ace Bailey 20 years from now and be like, oh, well, that was a guy that just didn't do anything.
And we've seen more talented players do less than that and have their
Right.
complete reputation tarnished. So this is really playing with fire. Right
It
now.
is. Yep.
And you're a bottle of kerosene. So
And it's playing with money, and Utah has all the leverage right now because they drafted you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we might be going in uncharted territories. You hope for his sake you don't go there, but you're acting this way, dude. You better come up and be rookie of the year.
Yeah.
If that's your mindset and you think you deserve some of these things and you didn't end up where you wanted to go, you better be rookie of the year. You better be a trendsetter. You better be the guy that's going to take this franchise to the next level.
And if not, this is going to be a training video for every kid in college what not to do.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and Shador was the same way.
Yeah.
Don't do, because this is the difference between the pros and college. At college, they're going to fight, do everything they can to get you on their campus wearing their uniform. The pros, it's the other way around. You're auditioning for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the most part, but and we're starting to see this trend of more kids, more guys that think, well, it's still college, they got to recruit my services.
Yeah.
No,
It does not work that way.
We'll trade you for a second round pick real fast.
They are the ones paying you now.
Yeah.
It's not
And if you want to go to the team that you want to go to, well, guess what? They're going to have to give us one heck of a prize, one heck of a present that's going to make us better at the end of the day.
And I think that's something that, not to go off on a big tangent here, but there's a lot of stuff that people talk about with this generation that's coming up, and how maybe they don't understand, certain social aspects or job aspects or whatnot. You make a great point. In college, and even to an extent in high school, it's like, we see you, we want you to be part of our team, so they're coming after you. Well, the NBA, NFL, all that stuff is now so-called, you're in the job market.
Yep.
You're going to interview with them because you have to prove to them that's what they want and need, and they're the ones at the end of the day are going to tell you yes or no. And that's the thing. They need to learn. It's like, this is a job. This is not something that is, oh, they chose me.
Right.
They're going to keep me. Nope, you got to prove to them that you're worthy enough.
That's the thing. You go into a job interview and you're arrogant and you're entitled and you're egotistical.
Yep.
All
Good
right,
luck.
we'll show you the door.
See ya.
Yeah, and with the way, And we're going to get back to, I think it's going to shift back to how things used to be sort of. I don't think we're ever going to get back to that, mainly because the way NIL is going to be structured, the way in the NCAA is supposed to govern it. We'll see.
Yeah, really.
how far that goes. But everyone is predicting a lot of these contracts and a lot of this pay for play, their salaries are going to shrink because you're at a salary cap now.
Yep.
And there's certain parameters that you can go with if it comes from outside money as well. But a lot of that outside money is supposed to go to these schools to help them pay for this.
Exactly.
So a lot of those salaries are going to go down because right now guys are really incentivized to stay in school because they're going to make more money. Well, guess what? Now the teams are going to have the leverage.
Yep.
And still, at the end of the day, big league money is better than NIL money, especially if you're a top level guy. You know, by all means, if you're Diego Pavia and you definitely don't have an NFL future, go get as much money as you can. Bleed everyone in Nashville for as much money as you can.
Exactly.
But if you're the Ace Bailey, you got to realize there's a lot of money on the table. There's a lot that can be there if you play your cards right. And I don't think he's playing his cards right.
No, I don't think so.
So winners, losers from the draft after night number 2, you guys?
I think Brooklyn had a really good draft. Portland had a terrible draft, in my opinion, taking the guy from China and then other draft picks. Memphis had a good draft, in my opinion. Boston had a really good draft. I knew you were excited about that. But I'm really, excited for Tennessee. I was talking to Meshack. Got picked with the last pick to Houston, but he got traded to Memphis. Lanier's going to Detroit, and then Sakai Ziegler got picked up by Detroit, so that was really big there too. So from that side of it, I'm really, really happy. But then again, I think there was a bunch of winners and a bunch of losers. I think Brooklyn was there. Utah, even though with all this going on, if it pans out, they're winners in the draft, in my opinion. So then again, I can't really say there were many bonehead moves except Portland. I think they were the biggest losers in the draft.
I think you can add New Orleans to that too because they had a protected pick. In next year's draft,
and they traded
it for a 6'2" guard that doesn't shoot well.
Yeah.
I mean, they traded it for a point. They traded it for a point guard that can't dribble and can't shoot. So.
And you drafted a point guard, Jeremiah Fears, with the 7th pick. Like, what are you doing?
On top of Portland, I would go ahead and say put New Orleans on that list too because that was just like
that's a cursed franchise.
And I think the Thunder, they didn't draft any big name superstars, but man, they drafted pieces to this puzzle that they need. It's like, okay, we need a little bit of this, we need a little bit of that, and man, they got it. And they even had an undrafted free agent out of Iowa that was a great 3-point shooter, and it's like great, It's just like the rich get richer.
Phoenix got some good young players too. Kaman Malowich, I believe that's his name. I'm surprised I haven't botched it yet.
A lot of centers in Phoenix.
Yeah, a lot of centers in Phoenix now. So I think they're looking to rebuild. Possibly we might see Devin Booker out the door soon, and maybe they can get Bradley Beal out soon. Who knows?
I think the Hornets had a quiet, really good draft. They got Sion James from Duke. They got Ryan Kalkbrenner for the big guy from Creighton. Their first pick, obviously, Colin Knippel. I mean, seems like they took a bunch of the Duke guys, and all 5 of their starters from last year got drafted.
Tyrese Proctor went to Cleveland.
I would say I think they quietly had a very good draft.
From just a sports fan perspective, I'll piggyback on what Hayden was saying. I was glad to see some of those Tennessee guys be able to get picked because they just watching them. I mean, they really, really good group of guys up there in Knoxville this year, and so it was nice to see them. And really, obviously any SEC school gets some good draft picks, but from a Bama perspective, it was good to see Mark Sears be able to get up with the I think it was the Milwaukee Bucks. I think picked him up, and then Grant Nelson. I'm blanking on where he went. I don't know if you're able to look that up real quick.
I'll pull that up.
I don't think they were drafted, but they ended up signing to kind of come on to see if they can show their skills. And we're kind of talking during lunch about Mark Sears. Is that it's going to be interesting to see what he does because
Grant Nelson with the Nets.
The Nets, that's right. It'll be interesting to see what Sears does because, I mean, he's small, but man, is he versatile? Is he strong at the rim? He is a hard to handle piece of an offense that if he's able to get things going and try to make that transition to an NBA, I think he already has NBA style with him, but with his size, I mean, I would love to be able to see him have a decent career. Grant Nelson be able to have a decent career. But yeah, like what Hayden said with some of the Tennessee guys, I would love to be able to see them, flourish in the NBA as well. I don't know if there was a stat or anybody could even look up or something, but I was kind of thinking today, I'm curious how many of those players who went undrafted ended up having really, really good NBA careers, because I know that there's at least a handful of them.
Well, Ben Wallace is the first guy I think of. It was a great career defensively.
I mean, Alex Caruso.
Caruso,
he's on that list right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did McConnell get drafted?
Yeah, I think he was
Was he late?
No, McConnell he was
undrafted. So put him on that list too. I thought he was
Austin
as well.
Reeves.
Yeah, Austin Reeves.
Dort from the Thunder.
Fred VanVleet.
John Starks to go.
Yeah,
old
John
school
Starks,
right there. You mentioned Ben Wallace, greatest.
Jeremy Lin, the greatest
Jeremy Lin. Yep, that's
the greatest
right.
couple of weeks of every New York fan's life.
Holy cow! Oh my gosh.
Jeremy
Lin Sanity.
Brad Miller, he was really good for the Kings at one point. Avery Johnson. Caruso's on this list. Yep. Bruce Bowen, one of the greatest defenders of all time.
Yeah. So OG3
So you obviously are going to find. We all knew that you can find gold in some of those undrafted picks, but
Udonis
Haslem. I forgot about Haslem.
John Starks, number 2, and number 1, Ben Wallace. Wow, so we got Defensive Players of the Year.
Yeah.
So if you want defense, you got to go there and draft.
Exactly.
Well, I would say, and see, that's why I kind of thought I didn't think Jemai would get drafted, because he's in that similar room with Ben Wallace. It's like he's not going to go out and put 30 points up a night, but he'll make it really hard for you to do that.
Exactly.
And I'm pumped for my guy out of WVU, Javon Smalls.
Javon Smalls going to Memphis,
man. One of the biggest reasons we even sniffed the NCAA tournament before our loser coach left to go to Indiana. Good riddance. But anyways, coming up next, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball, some historic power numbers. Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge will discuss that when we return.
Since opening our doors in 1904, Builtwell Bank has existed to be the local economic engine for the communities we serve. No matter if you're buying a car, saving for retirement, or finally buying that forever home, Builtwell Bank is here to help. From personal checking and savings accounts to a full suite of business and commercial banking with treasury management services, we'll make sure you'll have a dedicated Builtwell banker that understands your unique needs and stands by you every step of the way. No matter where you are in Tennessee or Northwest Georgia, there's likely a Builtwell Bank location nearby. Come see us and let our dedicated financial team help you with all of your banking needs. Member FDIC.
What really matters during the ball game, we're at that point in the season where some are just beginning, some have already ended, and others are at that point where it's either win or go home. Depending on what your perspective is, it changes everything, doesn't it? In 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 18, we're reminded we don't look at the things that are seen, but at the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are temporary, but the things that are unseen are eternal. Keep your focus, keep your perspective on the right things, the things of God, the eternal things. And that message brought to you by your friends at the Leoma Church of Christ.
From our humble beginnings to today, Parks Lumber Company has continuously served Lawrence and surrounding counties for over a century. Although we started as a small lumber yard in 1896, we have grown to include everything you need to make your dream project come to life. No matter your building needs, our experienced staff will be with you every step of the way to ensure you receive the highest customer service and attention to detail you deserve. Visit us at 106 2nd Street or on Facebook. We guarantee you will see working with PLC is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Going the distance for local sports. This is X Sports Today.
Welcome back to X Sports Today. You're good. Joined by Taylor Plott, Michael Marks, and Hayden Burks. Guys talking a little baseball here, and interesting article by ESPN today. Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, the best power half seasons in MLB history. Obviously, Aaron Judge, we know what he can do. He had 62 home runs a couple years ago, 58 last year. He was right around the 400 average mark. It's dipped down a little bit since then, but you got Cal Raleigh, 32 home runs, 69 RBIs right now from a primary catcher. Is very, very good. These guys, and he's 28 years old. These guys are just raking the ball right now. And just to put it in perspective, so top 6 sluggers on the list, home runs at the midway point of the year.
I think Bonds had 39. I think
39. He did that in 01.
Yep.
McGuire had 37 and 98. Ruth in 21 at 35. Reggie Jackson in 69 at 34. Ruth in 28 at 33. And he keeps popping up on this home run list. Jimmy Fox.
Jimmy Fox.
had in 32, had 33, ended up with 58.
Surprised Sosa wasn't up there with that huge June he had 98.
Yeah, but I think he only had like 9 the previous couple.
Because I would say he had 20 in the month of June in 98.
He was one of those where he would almost every season it was like a build up to where he just kept getting better and better.
He's streaky too.
Yeah, he's streaky.
I watched a ton of those games. He was very streaky. And the greatest OPS figures through 81 games. Bonds is number 1, 04, 1.414. Ruth in 21, 1.374.
Wow.
Bonds in 01, 1.357. In 02, 1.342. And Ruth in 30, 1.338.
Man, you consider a really good college OPS to be like 1150 or 1200, and through 81 professional games, putting up an OPS north of 1300 is unheard of.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, Aaron Judge, we know what he can do, but Cal Raleigh's kind of coming out of not necessarily out of nowhere.
You don't expect it from a catcher because they're catching every day.
Yeah, and with a team that doesn't just put a lot of guys in front of him, he's been hitting the ball well, but he's really broken out this year. He's hitting, I think, just a hair under 280. But before then he was a 220, 240 hitter. Now he's hitting 275, and he's driven in almost 70 runs on the year. Can you guys guess the single season record for home runs by a primary catcher?
I think it's 44, 48, something like that.
48.
And it's Salvador Perez, is it not?
He did it in 21. Johnny Bench in 1970 hit 45. How about this blast from the past Braves fans? Javi Lopez.
Yep.
43 in 03. Todd Hundley, 96 with the Mets, hit 41. Roy Campanella with the Brooklyn Dodgers hit 41. Then Piazza in 99, 97 hit 40 in each of those years. One with the Mets, one with the Dodgers. Then Johnny Bench hit 40 with 72 with the Reds. Piazza, and then in 2000 hit 38. Piazza's on this list a lot.
I was about to say, you look at him as obviously the best offensive catcher of all time. I'm surprised he doesn't have one of those 1, 2, or 3 spots, but I did know that the Perez was number 1. I had seen that the other day.
Speaking of the Javi Lopez stuff, that 03 Braves team that could be a what-if scenario, because that was, I don't know what it was with the Braves teams in the early 2000s, but they were.
Was that around the time Smoltz moved to the bullpen?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's just bad luck or whatnot, but they had the really, really good teams that could not get out of the NLDS.
I think the Braves were like 1-3 or in the World Series in the 90s or something like that. It's just
got there in 90 and 91.
Yep.
That was the worst
Blue Jays.
worst to first with the Blue Jays. That's still. I talk to my dad about it sometimes. That's still, I think, considered one of the best 7-game series of World Series history. Lost to that one. You won it in 95, and then you lost it in 96. And then I believe you were back in 99.
Yes.
And you lost it to the Yankees again.
That 03 year with Javi Lopez, that was a good year for me, not necessarily for the Braves.
Good old Cubbies.
It was a great year for me.
Could be Kerry Wood.
No, Kerry Wood couldn't beat him.
That's when Kerry Wood was just
the greatest pitcher on earth for some reason.
And then you tied him up with Mark Pryor, and
that was a good one too.
That was that's another what if.
Is that when y'all had Carlos Zambrano too, or was that a little bit later?
He was our number 4 because it was Wood, Pryor, Matt Clement, who was really good, is the number 3. Zambrano was number 4, and then Rich Hill.
Hill.
I want to say Rich Hill was our number 4, and then Zambrano was our number 5, and then obviously Pryor gets hurt a lot. I think they sent Wood off. Wood went to the bullpen. I think he went to the bullpen. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. And then Clement went wherever. Then Rich Hill, I think he's still pitching for somebody.
Yeah, I would say Rich Hill's still pitching. That is crazy.
That was 03. That was crazy.
I do remember those Cub teams, and they were pretty
Rich Hill's
good.
45 years old and still playing baseball.
That lineup was just insane because you had Sosa, then you had Moises Alou,
Yep.
you had Aramis Ramirez, and then Derek Lee.
Yeah.
Actually, no. That was the 07. That was later. No, Ramirez, I think, came over in 03. I can't, because I remember Kenny Lofton led off. Ramirez came later, I believe. Because Derek Lee was on the Marlins team that beat the Cubs in the NLCS. But it was Alou, Sosa, just a great Lofton, I do believe, led off for him. You pulling it up?
This is their lineup. So it was. This is not batting orders, just lineup.
No, we did have. I could have swore we had Ramirez. Oh, Corey Patterson, what a waste of time.
The thing that you'll appreciate, I don't know if these guys really remember, but even though I'm a Braves fan, I still remember the days with the Superstations. So I would tune in to WGN and watch some of those Cub games, and then obviously TBS still had the Braves going on. So I do remember watching those teams, and they were really good.
Because I remember I was at church camp when they made the deal with the Pirates, because they got Kenny Lofton, Ramos Ramirez, and Randall Simon, who eventually got suspended by Major League Baseball because he took a bat and hit one of the sausages in Milwaukee. And he totally forgot that there's real people and you can't just hit them. So he was aiming for the top just to be funny, but he actually hit somebody in the head. I think he got suspended for 2 games for doing that. That was a wild time. But not to get off on a tangent talking about great hitting catchers, but when Perez, was he a part of those really good?
Yes, he was like a third or fourth year in the 2014 World Series team for the Royals.
Yeah, but man, the 2 standards in this are Johnny Bench and Mike Piazza.
Yeah,
is the names you.
Who are 2 guys that everybody throws up there as like just some of the best catchers of all time. Johnny Bench, obviously, probably top 2.
And Raleigh's, he's in 20th all time, 34 home runs, but he's sitting at 32 right now. Yeah, but home runs are just one of those things. Okay, I hit 32 in the first half of the year. You might be lucky to hit 10 in the next 81.
Yep.
It's not a guarantee that because everyone just automatically assumes you hit 32 in the first half.
You're going to hit 32 again.
Yeah, you're going to hit 64, but that's not how baseball works.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you obviously, people will say, oh, he's on pace to hit 65 or something like that. Yes, if you look at the math, you would be on pace to hit that. But yes, like you said, it's baseball. You're going to get cold streaks. You're going to get hot streaks. So who's to say that after the All-Star break he only hits 10?
Yeah.
So,
a 42 home run season from a catcher is still,
it's still great.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And he is going to be a part of the home run derby, which is what led me to look up those numbers. So we got Acuna, got Cal Raleigh. It's one thing that I think baseball's got above the NBA, got above the NFL, and in some ways above the NHL. Like, you have this competition that no one can top, and your best players always participate.
Yep. And see, that's the thing that's ruined I feel like it's ruined the dunk contest of the NBA. It's just, okay, let's get Mac McClung out of the G League for a couple days and get him to come out here and dunk, and then
Gate City.
Yeah, and then we'll throw him back in there. And I mean, nobody's cared about the dunk contest in probably 6 or 8, longer than that, probably 7 or 8 years.
The last good dunk contest was Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
So I watched that the other day.
It's just you get
that
popping up on
contest
TikTok and
was
just
unreal.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm excited to see what they do in Atlanta. Ball doesn't. It's not Cincinnati, it's not Toronto, it's not Colorado, but it is.
The ball still flies pretty well.
It does still fly well.
Flies pretty well, and you've got a left-handed bat in Raleigh that can send some out there. What's the bar in right field? It's the
Chop House.
Chop House.
I knew it had something.
Send it to the Chop House.
Send it to the
Chop House is going to be busy. Can't wait to see who else is going to be a part of that. Well, guys, that will do it for some baseball talk. Coming up next, we learned a little bit more about UNA's new conference. We'll talk about that and what the impact can be for some of the bigger conferences when we return.
Juarez Tile Pros and Remodeling can help you with all your home remodeling and construction needs. They specialize in custom walk-in showers and floors, and no job is too big for their expert team. Licensed and insured, call Juarez Tile Pros and Remodeling today, located in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
There are now more ways to save at Quick Mart. Become a Quick Club member and easily earn rewards on qualifying purchases at Quick Mart convenience stores using the Quick Club app, available in the Apple App Store and Google Play. To save on fuel for work, use the Fuel Rewards Pro app to earn 5 cents a gallon on work fill-ups and redeem the savings for yourself. To get started, visit fuelrewards.com/pro or download the app in the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Hey Lawrenceburg, looking for something new? Come to Happy G's, located at 210 East Gain Street. We have pitching machines, batting cages, and even indoor golf. Powered by TrackMan, our system is perfect for practice or play. With over 300 courses as well as multiple mini games, it is perfect for all ages and abilities. We even offer packages for group events such as birthday parties and business lunches. So let's go. Come get your game on indoors at Happy G's.
The storm doesn't ask. It takes. It tests. It pushes everything to its limit. Some things are built different. Some things are built to last. Tested by the elements, proven by time, engineered for whatever comes next. Summertown Metals. Strength in every storm. Building dreams that last.
Welcome to the newly remodeled Brass Lantern. For over 30 years, we've been serving delicious food to excellent people. Brass Lantern takes pride in authenticity, serving fresh, homemade food to please any member of the family. From mouth-watering to one-of-a-kind steaks served with gourmet marinade, to salad with our signature honey mustard dressing, specialty fruit tea, drafts, and much more. Our food is always prepared daily. Whether you come in with friends or family, you'll appreciate that fresh is better.
Going the distance for local sports. This is X Sports Today.
Welcome back to X Sports Today. AJ Good with Michael Marks and Hayden Burks. Taylor Plott is going to go get some chiropractic work done here. So he's worked hard this week weather-wise and sports-wise. So we'll let him go get a few adjustments. But if he comes back here next week and his head's on the other side of his body, we had nothing to do with it. Yeah. So just be prepared either way for that. So I got some new updates. I went to UNA's press conference today talking about their new arrangement with the UAC. So from what we gathered and what we were told by athletic director Dr. Josh Looney, from basketball coach Tony Pujol and Candy Whitaker, the women's basketball coach, Texas native as well. So, we had a lot of questions yesterday. How's this going to work? So it will be 2 separate conferences. They will get 2 automatic bids. And if a UNA would play an old ASUN team like Lipscomb, North Florida, Florida Gulf Coast, that will be a non-conference game. So the way that, they talked a lot about it today is it's a scheduling, the consortium is going to help them out, TV deals, NIL stuff, recruiting, obviously, with UNA playing these Texas schools all the time. They can help them out recruiting-wise, which Texas is huge. Every county's got like 5 high schools, and the talent in every sport down there is great. But will be non-conference games, and the way they talked about it, and it makes sense. Say you go play in Eastern Kentucky, if you're one of the Texas schools, you go play Eastern Kentucky, drive on down, play Bellarmine on the way back, and then fly back to Texas. But that will be a non-conference game. Be interesting to see. I mean, it's not going to go into effect this year. It'll go into effect next year. But it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out next year. Will it be you play a conference game, then a non-conference game? How that all shapes up. It's, they don't know right now. They didn't have all the answers. Obviously, this deal was done yesterday. So obviously, there's certain questions we knew weren't going to have answers to them, which is why we didn't ask those sort of questions. It's almost a black box. They just know this is our conference. These are the teams we're going to play. I think football and some of the smaller sports are pretty set. Basketball, baseball, softball, that's where things can get, I don't want to say murky. It's
definitely a little confusing.
A little hectic.
It's a little hectic. It's a little confusing. It's probably going to take them a couple years to really get a good flow and a rhythm on how to do things.
But I do think this is very interesting. Again, having a conference schedule, so to speak, that's going to have a bunch of non-conference games thrown in the middle. But I do think it's good that we're getting these two conferences kind of merging together, so to speak, in a way where they have an agreement. It helps both of them out financially, and it allows us to see more teams play more teams. Because how often do we see I don't know, Tarleton State play North Florida and stuff like that? You get some interesting matchups, so I think it's good, but it's going to be a lot of wait and see, especially with basketball and baseball, obviously with the automatic qualifiers and how those conference tournaments are going to work. But it's definitely going to be a wait and see how it works out in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Just overall for football, like you said, it's kind of set a little bit. It's still a little bit up in the air from that standpoint. But our big question was basketball, baseball, and softball overall. Got something in my eye. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, no, I'm really kind of eager, like I said yesterday, eager to see what it does NIL purposes. Just overall, the play style, like you said, AJ, telling us a little bit more about, with the non-conference and then conference teams kind of shrinking it as the ASUN went down from 13 to 7.
Something.
Yeah,
like
7, 8.
They lost 5 playing members.
Yeah.
I think they lost someone to another
conference. Yeah, so kind of evens out both playing fields. So, like I said, it's one of those things where it's kind of like the college football playoffs, where kind of having to get a flow for it, a new, something new that neither side has really took a hold of. But then again, if this is successful, this could be the future of not just these small conferences, but maybe one of the Big Four conferences might try something similar.
And this is like a new wave of conference realignment, but it's not affecting the Big Four conferences. I think we're somewhat set there for a little bit.
I would say at least a couple of years.
It was like a trickling effect from the big conferences.
And all
down
the
there.
action I saw 2 schools today at the Division II ranks that are moving to different conferences. We've had a lot of D2 teams move up to D1 over the last few years. West Georgia is one of them that's in this new UAC. They go from the ASUN to the UA. They're in the UAC for football, but ASUN for everything else. And here they go, ASUN to the UAC, changing a lot right off the get-go. We've seen 2 schools leaving the UAC/WAC going to the Pac-12. Texas State, Sacramento State are now going to be joining the Pac-12. Finally the Pac-12 got a school in Texas. Not exactly the one they were hoping for several years ago, which probably would have changed their fortunes. That might be a power conference at this point. But that's kind of where we are. But just so many changes, but it's just changes that you don't think it affects the Tennessees or the West Virginias or the Alabamas of the world.
It could have a little bit of a domino effect where, maybe these conference merging could end up impacting a Tennessee or a Notre Dame or someone like that down the line.
And I brought this question up to you guys, and I know you hadn't thought about it, but I was thinking about it on my drive back from Florence because the ASUN, like you mentioned, those double-digit members, now they're down to 7. This UAC lost a couple, then all of a sudden they gained 5 members. It was the WAC, and they're going to gain. I think UT Rio Grande is joining at some point. I could be reading that wrong, but you're going now. You've got these 2 leagues. They're somewhat working as one, but in a ways not. So the ASUN goes from double digit now down to 7. You got this WAC that had all these teams, and now you've got this different setup. So that's 2 leagues. And they're both going to have automatic qualifiers. It's already been ruled and determined by the NCAA. So you think about it, it's not going to affect you football-wise because of FBS, FCS. But it affects, say, the Tennessees and the West Virginias because now you've got these 2 smaller conferences with automatic bids. And this could be, baseball I don't think is ever going to go down that route. But basketball-wise, this could be what makes the big-time conferences and the big-time commissioners go, okay, well, if we're going to let a team with 7 from a league with 7 teams into the tournament, then my middle-of-the-road SEC team should automatically get in.
Exactly.
And that's what's going to lead to tournament expansion.
Yeah, and this has been talked about, but even before this whole thing with UNA and the ASUN and UAC happened, it was talking about expansion to 72 teams, which would be probably the worst thing that could ever happen in sports ever. I mean, the NCAA tournament. Yeah. I don't even really like the 60. I'm not a big fan of the whole first four thing. I think it's because I don't like the 16 seeds having to play to get in the tournament. I do think it's really cool having those first four games that Wednesday and Thursday in Dayton, or Tuesday and Wednesday, whenever it is, in Dayton, because that's really fun. But when you have to expand it, there's going to be more first four. It's going to be like the first 8 or the first 16, whatever it runs into. But I mean, at that point, we're going to have a 140-team NCAA tournament, and a team that went 1-17 in the SEC is going to make the tournament, and that completely nullifies any credibility to making it to the NCAA tournament. Because for some of these schools, they're doing this once. They have this great run through their conference tournament, and it's the only time they get there. Yeah. For the bigger schools, again, it's a little different, but we cannot expand the NCAA tournament.
Well, I mean,
that'll be my rant.
It goes to kind of how you said, where if these smaller conferences with 7 or 8 members, and one from both sides are getting in, and the SEC, then more of our guys should get in, or more of the Big Ten, more of our schools should get into the tournament. Then that's going to basically be like, oh well, somebody's going to get their feelings hurt regardless of if you have 64, 72, or 520, whatever.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't get that big. Lord knows what's going to happen. We might be playing a whole year worth tournament. But but no, like I said, it's just kind of one of those things where I agree with you, Michael. I don't think they need to expand it. It sounds like that's probably in the works right now to possibly do something like that. But no, I think 64 is a good number. But then again, you got to look at the play of the teams, and I mean, it's just one of those things where we know the SEC, Big Ten, ACC, Big 12. Those are going to be the power conferences whenever it comes to the tournament. And so, like I said, it's one of those things where these smaller schools are kind of experimenting to see, where they go from here with the new rules that the NCAA is putting into play.
Well, and kind of in a similar way, I know it's this way, I'm not sure anymore, again, because of region realignment, but for high school football, the region out of Memphis, I don't know if it was Region 1, Region 2, or whatever,
Region 1.
They didn't have enough teams they only had 3 teams in their region, so one team got an automatic bye in the first round of the playoffs. So, I hope we don't see this where, these small teams are kind of getting a free bid. Obviously the big conferences are probably going to be like, hey, they should have to play their conference tournament together, and they only get one bid, and then these teams are saying, well, only.
And they're creating a new league by like absorbing another one. Mm-hmm. So we still have the same number of conferences. Yes, one got a little bit bigger and the other one shorter.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's basically how it is. But obviously some schools are going to play less conference games than the other.
And that's exactly where it gets weird, because you have the SEC with 16 teams, the ACC has 17, I think the Big Ten now has 18.
And you're playing 20 plus, some maybe even, baseball-wise, 30 conference games, and you look at this one league that a home and home, and you're going to get 12 league games.
Yep.
And then on top of that, which is probably why they want to join this consortium, how are you going to fill out the rest of the schedule and not have to pay a bunch of D2 and NAIA schools? Well, now you got it worked out with this other league, which is why it makes as much sense as it does.
Yeah, and that's kind of the understanding, it's harder. You don't realize how much harder it is for these smaller teams to fill out a schedule.
It's
because again, it's hard getting the Tennessee-Nebraska thing when it fell through. It's hard to build these big home and home matchups. But for smaller teams, just to fill out their schedule, it's confusing because you have to play so many conference games, and you have to have so many home games and away games, and you have to work it out with other schools. It's a lot of work.
And getting the bigger schools in your building is
again, because you have to play those bigger schools to get money.
And I look at it from the UNA's perspective of it. That they don't have the biggest gym. That when it's packed, it's awesome.
Yes,
everyone needs to go. I've been saying it on
the
this
ASUN tournament last year was amazing.
Yeah, I've been saying it on this network. Go to Flowers Hall.
Yes,
this team is good. It's not real big, but it's all. I think that's what makes it special, because it gets in there, it gets packed. The student section's awesome. A lot of great basketball. I had so much fun over there this past year, and expect to have more fun this year. But that's why they have the SoCon thing. Mm-hmm. You get a guaranteed home game against a somewhat local team.
Yep.
They have Sanford last year, so that made sense with the whole Alabama thing, and then they have to go to Wofford. Who knows who they're going to get this year? But it takes you from having to play the, no offense, Hayden, but the UT Southerns of the world.
The NAI level.
That doesn't help your RPI, it makes things a little bit, because that's the biggest thing that they struggle with, because they'll get Alabama to come to Florence and play in softball.
Yep.
But the chances of getting Alabama to come in basketball
between slim and none.
Yeah, between slim and none.
And Slim just left the building,
and they've had some, and they're going to in the future with this new ballpark get some bigger name teams. Cincinnati came a couple years ago, right before they joined actually I think they were in the Big 12 at that time. So that will be enticing. Some bigger name schools have come for their softball invitationals and that sort of stuff. But as far as basketball goes, it's
a little harder.
It's a little harder, so they need as much help scheduling as they can get, and that takes a big load off of their shoulders to have a consortium like this.
Yep.
So, lots of stuff going down. I honestly, I think it's great for UNA, and it's great for them in a lot of ways. It's going to bring more money in, especially they're kicking off this new conference the year they break out the new stadium.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
It's going to be really good timing. I'm really excited for everybody over there. Hopefully a new gym's in the works, but, got to get the stadium, and ballpark is done, but got to get the stadium finished. So coming up next, guys, we're going to take a look at the weekend, get you guys ready going into Saturday and Sunday when we return.
At C&B Linen, fast, friendly, and reliable service is our promise to you. Because you're not just a customer, you're family. From multi-use linen to branded floor coverings and a complete range of cleaning supplies, C&B Linen is here to make sure you have everything you need. From our high-quality products to our fast, friendly, and reliable service, you'll experience the difference with C&B Linen. Because you're not just a client, you're part of our family. You'll be winning with C&B Linen.
Are you looking for the perfect refrigerator? What about a new stove, or washer, or dryer? It only makes sense to shop at the one place that specializes in appliances, top to bottom, big or small. And that's Kelly Appliance in Lawrenceburg. Kelly Appliance is home to all major name brands, including LG. LG makes life good with a full selection of refrigerators, cooking appliances, dishwashers, microwaves, and more, including appliances made right here in Tennessee. Family owned and family operated. Stop by Kelly Appliance on Jerry Street in Lawrenceburg today.
Being raised in Tennessee, we believe in the importance of family and community. Creating a positive experience at our family-owned and operated business is one of the ways we share that belief.
Being in an accident can be extremely stressful. When it came time for my repairs, Mashburn's made it easy.
I am lucky to have a wonderful company in my community like Mashburn's Collision Center. It's reassuring to know that I'm in good hands because their work is second to none.
We pride ourselves that the Mashburn name is one of the most trusted in Lawrence County since 1981. Mashburn's Collision Center. Let our family take care of yours.
Going the distance for local sports. This is X Sports Today.
Welcome back to X Sports Today. Final segment of the show. AJ Go with Michael Marks and Hayden Burks. Guys, what are you looking forward to checking out this weekend?
Well, obviously tomorrow at noon we got Night of Champions in the
At
WWE.
noon.
Yeah, at noon because it's in Saudi Arabia, so the timing's a little weird. But I'm looking forward to that. And again, I hope everything's going well out there. They're all being safe. But you got SmackDown tonight. I think it's going on right now, but they're pre-recording it. And you got Night of Champions tomorrow afternoon. So that's definitely the big thing I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. This weekend with Night Champions, I know they landed yesterday. They're filming SmackDown right now. It will be on Netflix. I think at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Netflix. So looking forward to that, and also just looking forward to the match card: John Cena, CM Punk, Karrion Kross, and Sami Zayn. I really am hoping Karrion Kross has a good outing, especially being on the card for the first time. I guess this may be his first PLE ever.
It might be.
So he needs a good one there. And then also Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, kind of a teacher versus student match. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I would say, and the last time they fought, it was Dashing Cody Rhodes versus Viper.
2023 when Cody got fired that year.
Yep.
Crazy. Well, Major League Baseball wise, Cubs Astros, a good series to check out. Take a look at the rest of the schedule here. Maybe Padres. Reds have been playing pretty good. The Padres at the Reds. St. Louis at Cleveland. Phillies and Braves.
Yeah, I would say Phillies Braves will be
that'd be a good
one.
series.
Be one to keep your eye on there, and outside of that, those are the only ones I can think of that are kind of worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, maybe St. Louis and Cleveland; those are all right teams, but again, then you got a bunch of matchups like Miami and Arizona.
Have you guys seen some of the stuff about the new college football games starting to come out?
Yes. Well, I would say we're actually going to be talking about some stuff like that on the new show on our show coming up.
Have you guys seen the top 25 teams?
Yeah. Yes. I would say we'll talk about that on our
Okay,
show.
no.
Wait, I mean, if you want to. We can do a double talk.
I mean,
EA's very weird.
I won't go too. I've seen some stuff how some of the gameplay is a little different. It's harder to complete passes slightly. Yeah. Some of it, but some of these teams, unless they know something we don't know, which could be, they could be. Shoot, Vegas always knows stuff that we don't know. When it comes to that, Tennessee's 20.
Yep.
Which obviously they've got with the quarterback. You just
I'll take that.
Tennessee could go 10-2 this year or 2-10. I mean, it's very up and down.
Bama's number 1.
A little weird.
Very weird.
First year quarterback.
Yeah. Miami at 11.
A&M at 8. I feel like it's a little weird.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
Yeah, that's a little weird. The rest of this, I'm pretty cool with. Oklahoma at 17.
Why is Auburn ranked?
Yeah, Arizona. I don't know about Texas Tech this year. Arizona State makes sense. Illinois at 25. South Carolina. I think South Carolina, frankly, should be higher.
Yeah,
and I think
where
Illinois should be a
they
little
ranked
higher.
at? South Carolina?
24 is South Carolina.
Oh, they need to be
I
like
assume
15.
he's got a lot coming back, so that makes a little bit of sense there. I won't make you guys talk too much about it, but I just saw that and I went,
yeah,
that's some pretty interesting stuff.
Well, usually they try to line it up with what they want the week 1 AP poll to look like. But if week 1 AP poll looks like this,
if week 1 AP poll has Alabama at 1 something.
No. This is the college.
No. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Definitely a little strange.
If that's the case, then Dusty Kaiser's going to have a conniption about
boy, here we go. We're losing every game.
We're going to go. We're barely going to win 10 games this year.
We might not win an SEC game.
Western Kentucky's going to beat us. Vandy's going to roll us by 3 touchdowns.
DeBoer, he got to go. He got to go.
The bow got to go.
We won't get too much into detail. We'll let these guys really go in the depth of it. Well, we'll do it here for our Friday episode of X Sports Today. These guys got SEC Tailgate coming up in about 40 minutes, maybe sooner. We'll see what happens. And obviously, enjoy your weekend. I've got the next week off, but these guys and Taylor will be back Monday through Friday, 1:30 sharp. And I will see you guys in a couple weeks. And these guys will see you in 40 minutes. And as far as this show goes, we'll see you guys on Monday.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.